All right, I believe that we are live right now. Greetings, family. I just want to welcome you guys again to another episode. I'm your host, Erica Irvin, and you already know we've been talking about finances. We've been diving into understanding building wealth and what it means to build wealth for our people, especially during the time in our country that we're living in. We need to have some skill sets that we can utilize to be able to generate wealth for ourselves and for our family. And so I've picked up, a couple of hobbies along the way in the course of my journey, which is trading the foreign exchange. And so that's something that I thoroughly enjoy. If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, keep scrolling. But tonight we have a very special guest on that I came in contact with by way of the Akashics trading community. And this brother is serious about his business. Someone that I really am thankful for. I'm thankful for God putting people in my path that understand and know what they're talking about and can kind of share some wisdom. And just some of the things that he was saying really resonated with me on my trading journey as well as my personal journey in life. And so I want to welcome Shaq to the call. I want to welcome Shaq to the call and tell him thank you so much for your time, sir. How are you doing? Hold on one minute. Wait, let me. I think you're muted.
Oh, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling great. Thanks for asking. How are you feeling?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. It's wonderful to connect with you on Facebook and just to be able to continue in conversations. Um, Look up to you and thank God for your gift and thank God for your wisdom. And just wanted to be able to share this platform with you to be able to talk about some things with
Mhm.
trading. So, um, want to know what how did you get? Tell me your story. How did you get started? Let's talk about it.
So when you say when I get started, like it's hard to pinpoint when I actually got started, right? Because I believe that trading is like it's the same rules and guidelines that is associated with all success. Success leaves clues in every arena. Everything that you're looking to be successful in, I think they all got its like base premise or its niche based rules, but success in every area I notice it has a pattern, right? And once you start to like recognize that pattern in various different things, then you're able to translate your success in one area. And then when you go to a new area, it is not as it still may be some challenges, right? It's still a lot of things to learn, but you have a little bit of an edge. It's almost like the example I could give is like a Oprah Winfrey. Like I love to use Oprah in my examples because when we think of Oprah, we think about the epitome of success, right? She was able to pull herself up. And if you think about if Oprah were to do what you're currently doing, or me, or anybody else, then the probability of Oprah being able to become ultra successful at that thing like we all assume that it's going to be a lot easier for her than it would be for the average everyday person. And
Mm,
it's only because, in my opinion, it's because of the success that she's already had and what she understands about success and who she became. Not even just the Oprah brand or all of that, because if you strip all of that away, I think Oprah can still be massively successful at pretty much anything just
mhm.
because she became. But like, and that's the reason why she's had the success. So when you ask me the question, how did I get started? It's like I've been at it my whole life, right? I've been
Mhm.
always trying to figure out how to, become better than my situation. I've been trying to like figure out ways to overcome like my struggles and my hurdles because I come from a single parent household, not much money, a lot of love, but not a lot of anything else. And because of that, I was super hungry. I spent my time trying to figure out how to make money. I spent my time trying to figure out how to develop myself into the person
Mm,
that money's attracted to. And in the midst of that journey, I stumbled across trading. I think I was probably like, I want to say 21, 22, right? And yeah, it was, I've already at that point was already making six figures a year.
mm.
Which for a 21-year-old or 20, anybody in their 20s is it's impressive by a lot of people's standards. But it's only because I was on that journey to become successful. So when I got into trading, I bumped my head against the wall for 5 years,
Mm,
right? But the thing is, most people would never give it 5 years at anything, and especially if they're failing at it. But because I had the fortitude, because I had the resources, because I had the mindset, I was able to eventually get over that hurdle. And I take that no nonsense attitude that you saw, and
mhm,
I apply it to everything that I do. Like that no nonsense attitude, I had a revelation probably about 4 or 5 years ago. That no nonsense attitude that people are either love me or hate me for is
mhm,
really my internal voice. Just being able to, I share that with people from time to time. So
mhm,
that's the secret. If I was to
mhm.
be completely transparent, like that's how I started, and that's my mindset. If I'm coaching somebody, I give them the same voice that I tell myself internally. So
Wow. No, and that's real because I think when we were on CJ's call, none
mhm.
of us really know each other. We're kind of online, and it's like, here I come. I asked this question, and guys, the question I forgot. I don't remember exactly what question I asked, but I think I made a statement, and Shaq was like, "No, this is," and snapped me completely out of it. And I didn't take that in a negative way. So completely, like, no, man, no. But I think for me, I appreciate the directness, and I think this is something that this generation desperately needs is directness, you know,
Right,
and either take it or leave it. And so to have to have that direct impact like that, and that direct instruction, that guidance, that hey, this is what you're doing wrong, and you're thinking about it in the wrong way, and if you want to be successful, this is how you do it. And so I thoroughly appreciate that. I said, man, I get this dude on a call because he's, this is, they talking about pip juice, this guy's got the sauce, so it was like
right.
I really wanted
I
to,
appreciate that.
yeah, I really want to. I'm not trying to gash it up. I'm not, it's not like that. It's just that, I think this generation is lacking that on so
Right.
many different levels. You don't have people that are in a young age that's that serious, no nonsense, just let's get the work done. And I think we worry about the wrong things, and it drains our creativity. It drains our ability to thrive in environments such as trading when we sweat the small stuff. So I appreciate that. But you mentioned something on that call, and you mentioned a dollar figure that I almost passed out listening to the story about your successes. Good. So can you talk about some of your successes and your failures during trading?
Sure, sure. I mean, I've made a lot of money on trading. I don't know what type of specifics you want, but I was trading for about 5 years of bumping my head. Like constantly playing mentors, trying to figure out what works, what don't work, having some success, a little success, then having a lot of loss, right? Like I did that for 5 years trying to figure it out. And I think that every time I failed, I would pick up something else and then try something else. And then I would continue this cycle of trying to figure it out. And
Mm,
every time I made an adjustment, I realized like you're starting over. Like you're a new person at every single thing. You're never getting to the point where you're getting better. So I just decided, what, I need to sit down, I need to figure this out. And when I finally sat down to figure it out, I wasn't a better trader. I was just a more disciplined person. And I
mm,
think that, once you become that more disciplined person, you're able to start to notice a lot more because you're not constantly starting over. You're giving yourself an opportunity to really grow. And then once I finally had that moment of clarity, I started adding little things to the things that I was doing already, because most of the time, if you're genuinely trying, and this is only if you're genuinely trying,
mm,
if you're giving something your all, right, and it's not working, you're probably this much off, right? A
mm,
lot of the time, like the tweak that you need, and that's why mentorship is so important, because you can have all of the right motivation, the right drive, the right, willingness, all of that, but you may be off by this much. But if we take this little, I don't even know if this is an inch or not. I think it may be. If you take this little inch, right, and you let's just say you were planning on going, and you get in your car and you plan on driving north, right? If there was no streets, and you just can get in a car and just drive, straight. Like there's nothing prohibiting you from driving in a specific direction, and you decide that you're going to drive north. And if your compass is off by this inch, by the time you drive 100 miles, you will be so far away from where you intended to be, right? And so that I say that to say this. When you're doing something, that's why mentorship is important, because you can be off by this much, but if you're doing that thing for long enough, you'll be so far from where you want to be that it's ridiculous. So mentorship gives you the ability to kind of just close that gap so you can really head in the right direction. So you're compressing time. And when I finally found some good mentorship and I stayed locked in, I didn't deviate, I just focused, I was really able to give myself the time, because we all know the rules of success. You probably read this before. It takes 10,000 hours to master anything. So the problem is whenever you put in hours in on one thing and then you change it, you're resetting that clock over and over again. And 10,000 hours is a lot of hours. So if you were setting the clock every day, every week, every month, every time something goes wrong, then you're literally robbing yourself of the breakthrough. Because the breakthrough realistically not going to happen until you really get those hours in of consistency. So I say all of that to say, I think that was, how I ended up having my breakthrough. I made millions of dollars from trading, and I've lost millions of dollars. I think the number that you was referring to was a situation where you said you was in drawdown, and I mentioned that I was over in $300,000 worth of drawdown at one time.
That is crazy. to think about that for me, that would wipe me out. Like,
well, it's all about perspective, right? Because it'll wipe you out, and truthfully, it's not. I mean, it's not even that bad of a situation if depending on the money you got, right? If you had $30 million, then $300,000 isn't really that much drawdown. It's just about perspective, right? Like I'm not saying that was the number I had, because it wasn't. I was over leveraging. I had maybe in that account a few $1,000,000, and I took a trade, and it was in $300,000 worth of drawdown. The only reason why I thought about that was because I had a new person who came into my business, and she was complaining about being in $20, $30 drawdown, and I had to give her perspective. It's like if you can't handle looking at your screen saying negative $20, then you're never going to be able to handle it saying negative 20,000, and you're not going to be able to make 20,000 in a day, or 30,000 in a day, or 50,000 in a day, or 100,000 in a day, if you can't handle the swings of trading, because that's how it works, right? This is not a money printer where you press the button and it prints money out, right? This is you looking at an asset, making a prediction on the direction it's going to go, hopefully accurately. And after you make that prediction, you let the real markets play out. So even if you're right, you can end up in $20,000 drawdown if you got a big enough account. And so the goal is to get big enough to where 20,000 is a small number, or 200,000 or 300,000 is a small number in comparison to what you have. Right. And a lot of us, because we've been living on the left side of the quadrant for so long, we don't really recognize that, they print it's trillions of dollars in circulation, and it's not that trillions of dollars that's in circulation is not available to the workforce. Those trillions of dollars that's in circulation is not available to the self-employed people. That money belongs to business owners and investors. So you got one person who's struggling to pay $2,000, $3,000 in rent, and you have another person who have a spreadsheet with $300 million in it, and he's probably the brokest friend in his friend group. So it's just all about perspective.
That's it. That's good. And I think for me, just looking at that, it is what I have learned over the past, three. I think it's been 3 weeks. I've been trading for about 3.5 years, and we moved here. I fell off because I got busy with some community service work, and now I'm getting back to it, and don't want to let it go this time. This time I want to be successful. This time I want to continue to have those wins. And so I've had some of my best days since trading with the group, with our trading group. It's been phenomenal. Like I've had, a day. I think the biggest day the past 30 days was about $1,200, and then I think at one point I pulled in $2,000 in 3 days. And so for me, I feel a lot more confident. But I don't want to have that false confidence, even though I do understand market analysis, even though I do understand how to read the charts. I want to be able to do it confidently without having to pause. And, I want to be able to breathe, candles and market analysis. Can you talk about the importance of market analysis?
I mean, it's basically knowing what you're looking at. I think that if you're a computer programmer, you got to understand code. If you're a police officer, you got to understand like certain cues that somebody might be suspicious. I mean, realistically, that's just the rules of the way the game works, right? Like if you are a teacher, you got to understand how to deal with students, right? Like it doesn't matter what you do, you got to understand the rules of how to do it effectively, right? Because that's what you do for a living. Market analysis is literally like looking at the chart, understanding what you're seeing, and being able to react to what you see. So it's everything. I mean, I think that if you don't have the ability to analyze what you're looking at, then you shouldn't even be doing it.
Mhm. And I've heard people say, like, I think I was talking to one person, and I've heard people talk about you could use AI to do the market analysis. Can you speak to that and talk to the listeners a little bit about why that's not 100% accurate?
Well, I haven't leveraged AI for that. I've been trading for a decade now, maybe a little longer, and I've never attempted to leverage AI for market analysis before. So honestly speaking, I can't really say on how effective it is or how ineffective it is, simply
Mhm.
because it's not something that I personally tested.
Mhm.
I don't like putting my foot in my mouth or
Mhm.
saying making claims that I personally don't know. So I think that honestly, if AI can do market analysis, which I believe is possible, I mean, it's not too many things about the markets that AI can't learn. I mean, AI is programmed to take a lot of information and compress that information and spit it back to you in a very digestible way. So I think that honestly, just from a logical perspective, and this is not based on any experience, so take this with a grain of salt.
Mhm.
I can't. I don't see why somebody can't leverage AI in order to assist with market analysis, because I mean it's not trading isn't really difficult. It just takes time to like understand the language, and AI has unlimited access to data. You know,
Yeah.
so I don't see AI being I guess something that you can't use. I think that it might be the way to do it in the future, if I'm being
Right.
completely honest.
Yeah, that does make sense. And it does take it. I've utilized it and try to see like what the fuss was with it. And I think what I have found was that it's not a live read. You can pop a picture in there, but it's not. It doesn't show you in real time. Like,
I don't think all AI is created equal. I think that AI has its limitations, but I think that some AI programs are more superior than others. You have AI that is designed strictly for trading. I'm sure. I haven't ventured into that, but I know some people who leverage AI, and it seems like they're successful. I'm not going to speak on how successful they are or not, because I don't see their balances or accounts or the growth or the success of it. But I do know that from a practical perspective, it makes sense. I think that you can have one AI that make you feel like this isn't a smart idea, and then you can have another AI that's superior to the one that you tested the first time. I think anything is like most things. It's like food, right? If I told you right now that chicken is nasty, then that's a very vague statement. If you eat chicken, you can go to somebody's house and have chicken, and it's the worst thing you ever had, and then you can go somewhere to a restaurant, eat chicken, and it'd be the best chicken you ever tasted, right? And they're both chicken, so it's like you can have an experience with AI that's not necessarily good, because that AI program isn't designed strictly for trading, right? And then you can have another experience with another AI, and it's completely designed different, and it can be superior, so that, I mean, I just know that from a logical perspective. I don't know, which AI, where to go, like what's effective, what's ineffective in regards to AI, because I don't use it.
Okay.
But I do use AI for other things, and I know that it's going to come a time where AI probably will be doing high level analysis for large organizations.
Mm. And I can see that too. I definitely agree with that. Um, so we're talking through, market analysis, and I think for me, emotions have played a really large part in, in my trading. Can you talk a little bit about, our emotions when we're doing market analysis and when we're in the trade?
Yeah, so like market analysis is what you see when you look at the market. You're analyzing the market and making an analysis of what you see. Your emotions is what happens when you execute what you know on your trade, right? And a lot of the times your emotions get high when you're over leveraging or when you're inexperienced, right? So I actually came up with a formula that, I don't think I read this anywhere. I just kind of thought about it. And if I did read it somewhere, because I did a lot of studying, I'm not trying to steal credit from anybody, but, I came up with this thing where I basically came to the conclusion that, whenever your emotions are high, your intelligence is low. And whenever your intelligence is high, your emotions are low. Because you got to think whenever you're getting into something based on intelligence and you know that logically you're doing the right thing, you don't feel no emotion because you're confident. Your confidence level will keep you in check. But when you're making an emotional decision, whether it be you being greedy, whether it's you being hasty, whether it's you being having anxiety or just putting your feelings on what you're doing,
Mm.
you're not really acting intelligently. And when your intelligence is absent, your emotions got all the room to go. You know,
Okay.
and so that's true in life. It's not just a trading thing. That's true in everything. Like when you're in a relationship, like when you're feeling and when you're thinking logically, you're not really in your feelings at all. But when your emotions are high, you can find yourself doing something that you say that you will tell yourself like, I would never do something like that.
Wow.
Right. And I mean, that's the reason why in the beginning of this, I said that when you asked me when did I get started, I know you were probably specifically talking about trading, but I realized like a lot of the things that we apply to trading are universal truths about life. It's not just a trading thing. It's a life thing. It's a success thing. It's a way to live thing.
Wow. That was a atom bomb for real. When your emotions are high, your intelligence is low. I need a second to unpack that.
Mhm.
So when I know for me, when I'm in a win, I have to watch myself and put my phone down because walking away from the market with $800 in profit, it kind of makes you want to dive back into the market and try to get more trades in.
Well, no, it makes you want to do that.
And it's true.
Yeah, yeah, it's
It's
not
true.
that's not a universal thing. I think that, once you start to respect money, that you'll understand that making $800 in a day for a lot of people is super success. And the thing is, you can't anticipate making a certain dollar amount every single day. That's just not practical. But if you do that, let's just take $800 and make it into like something that's just easily duplicatable. Let's say you make $800 5 days a week, every single week. I mean, do the math. What is that? That's like 4,000 a week.
Mhm.
So 4,000 a week is 16,000 a month. 16,000 a month on, obviously that's a perfect scenario, and we don't, and it's impossible to be perfect. But if you make $16,000 in a month, are you upset? And that's the question you got to ask. So whenever you start to collect these wins, you got to get back in the market because you're chasing money. You're chasing, like, it's not based on analysis. It's not based on intelligence. It's not based on strategy. It's based on greed, which is an emotion. It's based on certain things that has nothing to do with intelligence. It has everything to do with, hey, I'm winning and I want to continue this feeling of winning. When you bring ego into something that is unemotional, most likely you're going to go backwards. And that's the truth. Like, it's a lot of people who are very stoic, who are very rich, who your $800 that you made for the day, they'll be comfortable with. You're going to take that 800 and get 1,000 other people just like you, and they're going to have an $80,000 or $800,000 trading day, and then they're just going to close their laptop and move on with their day because they already are, up $100 million, $200 million, $500 million, and they'll be comfortable with making 800 grand for the day because to them that is their 800. Like a lot of people don't understand that it's not about how much money you make. It's about who you become. You shouldn't try to, grow your trading account more than you grow your bank account. And what do I mean by that? If you don't have $10,000 in your bank account, then you should not be chasing $1,000 a day in trading. Because if you made 500, I mean, what is that? Like what? 5% of 10,000?
Okay.
If you do that for 20 days, you made $10,000. If you don't already have that in your bank account, then you're basically reaching for luck. And when you're reaching for luck in a game that's just based on logic and practicality, you can be out of luck.
Wow. And so for me, and I know I don't want to forget this question, but we were talking about something that you had mentioned about what banks do, or what the market does when you win, and then you try to go back in again, and how you become the game, you become the plan for the banks. Can you talk a little bit about that and how important it is to control our emotions when we're diving into trades?
Yeah, the bank is very unapologetic. The institutions that move the market, they're called the market maker. They have more money than everybody because they're leveraging everybody's money, right? Like when you go to deposit your money into the bank, they have the ability to loan it, invest it, leverage it, so everybody's doing it. Like they print money in circulation and then they tell you to bank it, use it for banking, and then they attach everything that we do to our bank account. So literally, if you want to go get a house or you want to go do this, they check your banking records to make sure you're putting your money in the system. So the system have the leverage in order to make sure that they can take big positions to get richer, right? So it doesn't matter how rich you are. You're not richer than the people who have access to all the money, right? So whenever they take a position in gold for 500 million, for the next 5 minutes, and they tank it by 30, 300 points, there's nothing you could do. You can't take a position against that to stop them. So if your position is in opposition to theirs, you're the liquidity. So I say that to say this. You got to understand their strategies. You got to understand what they're looking to do, and then you have to be as cold and as practical as they are, because you're making money with the market makers, not against them. You're not going to beat them. So since you're not going to beat them, it's practical to logically understand what they're doing and not guess or try to feel like, because when you're guessing, one of these times you're going to be on the wrong end of it, and when you're on the wrong end of it, you pay dearly. If you don't know how to, use a stop loss, you don't know how to leverage properly, you don't know how to do all of the things that you're supposed to do, your money's going to be gone. It's just a matter of time. Everything that you make before it's gone is a loan that you got to pay back with interest, because they're going to get the difference. They're going to get the balance that you came in with too.
Mm-hmm. See, and what I want to say, guys, like to the listeners, these are the types of conversations that we have on our Kashik's team calls. I think the team calls really do help us to grow in other areas. There is mentorship available, if you join. You're not just out there trading by yourself. And so I definitely wanted to have Shaq to come on and just kind of talk through some of the things that he talks to us about on the calls, as CJ, which CJ is Dr. Fibonacci, and he was on our last episode. But these are the types of things that we learn on the platform. They don't just leave you out there to be on your own. You do experience wins. At least you're going to win something a couple of days a week. If you're getting on the calls, you will have some wins. You're going to have some losses, but I would definitely say that my wins definitely have outweighed my losses, and I'm thankful for this space. And so, my last question, and I know his time is valuable, I want to respect his time. Talk to us a little bit about Akashics and why people should join.
I mean, for the reasons you just said, I think that Akashics is probably one of the best ways for people to get into the markets and do it without having to bump their head like I did for all of those years. I think that if somebody's serious about winning and taking their life to another level, you're gonna have to find something or somebody that's going to, lend a hand to making sure that journey goes smoothly. And I think Akashics is the best way to do it. That's why I joined.
All right. You heard it straight from the horse's mouth. Listen, guys, if you're not if you are on this, I'm gonna definitely post my link underneath the comments just to kind of so you guys can look at that. We have calls with CJ, which that's Clyde Fisher, who's Dr. Fibonacci. We have calls with him twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays. We get on those calls faithfully and just kind of talk charts, talk trades. And it's a group of individuals. And every now and then we'll have Shaquille that'll pop into the call and just kind of share some jewels with us, listen and answer questions and things of that nature. So you're not going to be out there by yourself. It is definitely worth the investment. And so if you are interested in joining, I would love for you to be on my team. I would love for you to be a part of that. I think it'll be a great episode, but for a great connection. So with that being said, I want to thank Shaquille for joining us. I want to thank him for his time and just kind of stopping by to share some gems with us. And we're going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. And do you have any final, anything final to share with us?
I definitely think that you should connect with her. It'll probably be the best decision that you make. And I look forward to seeing y'all on the inside or at the bank. Either way, it's going to happen.
All right, guys. Y'all have a blessed evening and thanks again. We'll see you guys soon. And I will be resharing this link on my social media page for those of you who's interested. And I will also be sharing this as a podcast episode. Have a great night.